And I think once I heard that, we're like, okay, this could actually really fit Baekhyun. So our Japanese publishers sent it to him and he loved it. And once we heard that it was going to be the single and it's going to be a music video, we got super excited.
Okay, so I'd love to talk more about the track. So in one of your past interviews, you talked about you tend to do the chord progression first and then like the bass and the beat. So I was wondering if you could walk us through how you decided to create the chord progression and the atmosphere for this song.
Yeah, let me open the sound. So it has that same thing as Mayday on that second half of the bridge with that, you know, right here. And then on the pre-chorus, it just goes down. And then go back to the. That's the first thing that I laid down, and then it was kind of natural for me to start with the 4 on the floor, like, you know, just simple, funky type of track. I laid down some electric guitars. Kind of thought to myself, how could we start this song with a really signature intro that could be really memorable and different? And I just had this idea of starting with a vocal pad. They go, ooh, you know, and yeah, just started layering harmonies and all of that, and then go straight into it. That kind of, you know, once you hear it for the first time, it kind of grabs your attention right away. And then once I had the chords, the bass line, which is super simple but just once again really addictive. Yeah, and that plus the Rhodes and the drums, it kind of, that's the groove right there. You really don't need much else. And he was adding little percussions around it, shakers, little samples here and there, and, you know, build it up. But yeah, it's probably my most simple production as far as like the amount of layers that it has. It was all about finding the right grooves. And one thing that I think you can achieve, well, the way to achieve that as well is by not always quantizing your drums and you're playing and stuff like to the grid. That's something that I try to do. Like I told myself this year, I'm not quantizing anything anymore. Certain type of track, you obviously need your drums and stuff, but at least when I'm playing on the keyboard, I just like play it and leave it as is. I don't click quantize, and you know, sometimes it takes a couple of takes to get the right groove and stuff. But for Get You Alone, yeah, the main rose wasn't quantized. The drums, sometimes you have to move the snare like a little earlier, you know, than the grid, move the kick back, and that's kind of what's creating the groove for it as well. Because if everything is like on the grid, it can get like robotic, pretty quick. So it's all about finding that human feel.
No wonder. Sometimes I make arrangements for classical instruments, and so when I'm trying to find the tempo for something, and sometimes I struggle so much to find the tempo, and that's probably because the producers didn't quantize. Quantize their beats.
Yeah.
Like I set a metronome to it. I'm like, it's speeding up now. What do I do?
Yeah. I mean, even, you know, when drummers play live, they have a click. But even within each bar, you know, every hit that they're gonna do is not gonna be perfectly on time, and that's something I try to do more and more, and it gives a different feel.
So we talked a lot about production so far, so I'd love to switch over to your first top lining cut. I believe it was Park Jihoon's Gotcha, which was your first 2020 top lining project, right?
Yeah, I started a couple months ago receiving more and more tracks from other producers that kind of, you know, I've always been curious of being on the other side of the writing process because that kind of came to me during the last SM camp. I think while I was, you know, producing all those songs and having the writers at the same time next to me coming up with templates, like every 2 minutes, you know, I turn around and, okay, what do you have, this or that? And then I started naturally oh, what if you did that instead of like, or singing ideas. So the whole top lining thing kind of grew on me as I was in the studio with all those writers. It's funny because I was grocery shopping when I got the track in my email. And so I was here, I played it on the phone, listened to it. And the hook came in like automatically. I played it once and it was like, and I was like, okay, I recorded this on a voice note. And then the next day I got to the studio and it probably took me like an hour to lay down all the melodies. Then they changed the concept that I originally had for this one.
Oh no!
But I mean, all the melodies were there. But that happens a lot. I'm sure you've heard it before, but a lot of those K-pop songs, they adapt the concept to fit,
Right.
what they're looking for and also fit their language. But yeah, that was my first really release as a top liner. So I was super proud, super excited. Yeah, it's fun. It kind of diversify what I do in the studio and not just like make beats all day and send them out and
Yeah. In your Banking on Music podcast interview, you said that you're still struggling, like that's the area you struggle with most. So I was curious, what's the weirdest inspiration you've gotten for lyrics?
K-pop tracks to me is all about concept. And sometimes that's the only word, like the title is what's the only thing that's gonna stay from the original demo. I try to, when I get a track, obviously you get a vibe right away of kind of what it could be about or the sounds, or I don't know if a track like I wrote this song recently called Dragon because the intro of the song had like this dragon shout and kind of Asian Oriental type of sound. So automatically, once I find the concept, it's kind of easy now. It's easier for me since the last interview. I'm kind of getting the hang of it, of writing lyrics. But I think it's starting with finding a strong concept and sometimes one word that, boom, that's the title and it's going to be something very unique. And then just paint the picture around it, like a movie. Okay, that's the title. Now what is it going to be about? Tell the story around that word.
Right. Have you found it easier to write something like a love song versus something magical like Dragon or like something based on a movie?
To me, it's a lot easier to write about like love. I mean, it's so universal and I don't know, it's just more natural. Like it's easier for me because sometimes, like for example, there's only so much you can say about dragons. Sometimes you write the first verse and this and that and you kind of you're very conceptual and then you write the pre and the hook and okay, second verse, what else do I have to say about dragons?
About dragons.
So it's definitely more complicated. I guess everybody's different, but for me, I always try to have like a storytelling in the lyrics, so it's just easier for me.
Well, while we're on the topic of love, we should probably talk about Kai's and the fact that so many people love it. And what I found most intriguing about this song was that the chorus production and instrumental changes a little bit every single time it returns. So was this a choice made by you or one of the people you collaborated with? Or did SM's A&Rs listen to it and say, oh, actually, you should change up here, change it, like do this.
Yeah, so first of all, shout out to Cameron and Killa for this one that we worked on together. They absolutely killed it. And I'm so happy to see the reaction of the fans for that song. It's doing really well and everybody seemed to love it, which is amazing. Once I got the main demo, it had that chorus already with the and that was, once I heard that, I think SM knew as well, that was so catchy. It's so addictive and so simple. So I kind of reproduced the song. I kept a lot of the elements, like the main synth was there, but for example the drums I replaced a lot by my drums to kind of hit harder and just added some groove, and I played some extra like keyboard. That's another song where the bridge was totally different at first. It was kind of the same chords, I think, that kept playing for the bridge. So I came up with the
Gotta change that up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, where could we take it? So I started, changed up the piano chords and played some strings and kind of with the live bass to kind of, take it somewhere completely different. And then a lot of the top line changed as well once Kai recorded it. It was very different from the original, and it ended up fitting him, so well. But one thing that was there from the beginning was that chorus with the repetition. And to answer your question, I think as I was producing the drums and the 808 and replacing sounds and stuff, I did some different stuff from the original demo as far as the 808, for example. And then I remember receiving some notes for the first edit from SM, and they suggested to use, for example, my 808 on the first chorus. And they're like, oh, on the second chorus, we actually like this part from the demo. So what if we use that on the second chorus with the more like wobble kind of synth bass that you hear? I always try to have the song evolve, evolve like as it plays. Always add a new layer every chorus, and so that it's never exactly the same. So I kind of wanted to do that as well, by even if it's adding one hi-hat groove that's different than the previous chorus, or I don't know, a different 808 glide or something different, you know. So yeah, it was a mix of both the label and us to kind of make something unique.
Yeah, it's so smartly done, because every time I go back in, I try to listen harder and harder for the changes. Like, I didn't pick up on the shift of the bass sound, but I love the little like boop, 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 boop that comes in the second chorus. It changes it up a little bit. Like, it changes up the flavor a little bit, so that you're going to keep like listening.
Yeah. I'm glad you cut that.
Yeah, it's so fun. And so, speaking of, you already mentioned how the repetition of is what is so catchy about the song, but it's so rare for me to find a song with 4 choruses in a track, and then after finishing it, making me want to go back and re-listen. So what do you think makes the song so addicting, like the atmosphere or synth sounds, or is it the repetition of the that makes it want to re-listen to
I think that's what it is. I think it's the simplicity of the part. It's just so addictive. You want to sing along. Like the first time you hear it, you're like it just it gets stuck in your head so quickly that I think it allowed us to have way shorter verses. Like the second, third verse, it's not really a verse, it's more like a
Transition?
like half 4 bars that kind of starts like a verse but then go right back into the chorus, and then it goes into the bridge. But yeah, I think because that chorus is so addictive that having it 4 times didn't feel like it was too much.
Do you ever try to predict what is going to happen in the music video, or is it are you surprised when the music video comes out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really try to predict.
You're just excited.
Yeah, because you really have no idea. But sometimes you kind of know what it's going to be because of the concept. Like 100.
Right.
I mean, we didn't know. I saw the music video the day of the release. You know, I had no idea how it was going to look or anything. But I kind of had the idea of, obviously, the car racing and all that stuff. For Punch, for example, obviously we knew it was gonna be something about a boxing ring and you know, all of that. So yeah, K-pop music videos are always so incredible, like so aesthetic, and they really bring the song to life, you know.
True, and it allows you to almost experience the music in a different way. So when you're watching it versus when you're listening to it on your own.
Yeah, no, it helps so much to have a visual on a song, because then I mean, at least to me, every time I hear a song after seeing a video, every time I hear it, I see the video now in my head, you know, after, and it gives you a different perspective and different feel for it.
Yeah. Have you seen all of the TikTok dancers with like the water bottle on their head dancing to the chord? That's what I can't get out of my head.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. This guy has an entire like I don't know if you saw this one. I don't know how you call it. Those, you know, those big like water container that people have next to their home. Like, I mean, the thing is as big as him, and he has it like this in his head. It's so funny.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's hilarious.
You've mentioned that you've been to Korea, I believe it was twice before, and something that like fans are always super curious about is when you're in Korea for songwriting camps, have you had the chance of working with K-pop artists or meeting idols there, or have they reached out to you to chat after you wrote a song for them?
I only went there twice, like I said. And I haven't had the chance to really be in the studio with the artist yet. I really hope that, obviously, you know, with the whole COVID situation and, you know, right now it's kind of hard to travel, and we all, like, everybody around me is so eager to go back to Seoul and do a writing camp and stuff. But right now we've been, you know, stuck in our studio, like, in every corner of the world. But no, last time I was there, I did meet WayV. quickly, and you know they were so nice, and it was great to meet them. Obviously, I'm like really good friend with Kun now. Like we have some really fun exchanges, and he's such an amazing person and talented producer as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
His orchestral arranging is insane.
He's so good. Yeah.
So yeah, every now and then we talk, and yeah, one artist that is involved as well in her sound is YOUHA. We did her first single, Island, that she wrote herself, and she's a very talented writer as well. She actually wrote on one song on the last Victim album that just came out as a writer. So she writes like all her own stuff, and is, you know, always gives notes on the mix and the mastering, and she's involved in the production, you know, as well. So that's really cool to exchange with her and the label. Yeah, it really depends, but I really hope that next time I get to go back, I'll get to meet, you know, a couple of those artists for sure.
More people. Yeah. When you met WayV, was that after you had mixed their tracks for them, or you just had the
No,
hookups
it was
that
before.
introduce you?
Yeah, because it's, you know, it's my great friend Ryan, who
Jhun.
is my who's my publisher, publisher over there in Korea, and it's, you know, their babies, and his like little prodigies, and you know, he kind of put them together, and we went to his studio, and they stopped by and signed some albums for us, and I had no idea I was going to work with them so soon, and I was able to mix a couple tracks on their last album, and yeah, that was really fun.
That was, yeah, no, speaking of Ryan, a fan asked, when I tweeted out asking questions for you, they asked me to ask you what it's like working with him, and then he eventually, like, a few days passed, and then suddenly it popped up on my timeline again, and Ryan had liked it, so, like, I feel like I have to
really?
ask you that, because... Since
Of
Ryan
course he
knows
did.
that question exists.
Yeah, of course he did.
He's amazing at what he does. I mean, first of all, as a, you know, publisher, he's so good at, you know, pushing my songs, and I have to give like big shout out to them, and Jong, Cheo as well, and Mark, and the whole Mark and team. They believed in me since day one. You know, they're the one who flew me to Seoul for the first time when I knew nothing about K-pop, and they're the one who brought me the first project with Go Tomorrow, under 19's, you know, theme song, and that was from them. And yeah, since then we just built an amazing relationship, and they pushed me to, you know, study and learn and evolve, and yeah, they believed in me since the first day, and super grateful for them to, you know, push all my tracks as much as they do. And yeah, Ryan is amazing to work with. He has like very cool ideas, and always kind of has a vision of where to take things, and yeah.
Moving on to WayV. So I love the atmosphere of After Midnight, and especially the ethereal plucks and bell-like synths that are played throughout the track.
Yeah.
Specifically like the super syncopated like da da da, the one that comes in like 15 seconds into the song, I think. And then also there's some another bell-like sound that's super hidden in like the I want it all. It's like do 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 something like that. I was wondering if you could play those for us so we can hear like the layers and stuff.
Yeah, well, I can play on the piano the chords.
It's such a comforting atmosphere.
Yeah, but you know, we wrote, I think I've mentioned it before, but so I wrote this song with my great friend Taylor Jones, who's an amazing writer and who's also my manager. And we wrote it about 3.5 years ago. We, you know, didn't really know about K-pop or any of it. We just wrote it as a great like synthwave R&B pop track. I guess that's how I would describe it. But yeah, we went together to our first SM camp, and we played that song to them, and they really loved it, and you know, they thought it could fit WayV really well, and I'm really glad they did, because I think they killed the vocals, and it fitted them so well, and it gave them a different, I don't think they've done kind of that type of track before. That's why I think the fans were so interested about it. But yeah, the chords are that you mentioned. So that's kind of what's making it very emotional, is those.
Yeah.
So, and then you have a little chord change on the pre-chorus. transition, there's definitely 2 or 3 arpeggiated, synths that are layered. When the pre-chorus comes in, there's a little pluck guitar that does like that plays on the pre-chorus as well. Yeah, try to hear that. There's some guitars like with a lot of reverb to kind of do the soundscape around it. A lot of synth wave type retro synth, just a lot of layers, and then that main driving bass, with the sidechain. That kind of gave it that vibe. It's the perfect track to like drive late at night. So it was just building different layers, and I tried to keep a more retro, vintage, like analog sound by using like tape machines and stuff like that to kind of make the sound like less perfect, especially when using synth on the computer and VST. Sometimes they're they could be easily very digital and clean, so sometimes you have to like add a little bit of dirt with some tape machines and little saturation and stuff like that to make it more like vibey and what they used to have back in the days with actual like real tape machines and like real consoles and all of that.
Yeah, because talking about the layers again with the da da da, it almost sounded like a plucked kalimba. Were there
layered.
Multiple layers? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It has a bell that has the main like with the tail, but I wanted like a clink clink kind of attack to it, so it's layered with a marimba to have that little just the attack of it. Yeah.
Since that returns multiple times, do you ever like undo the layering just to have one of those sounds poke through? Because I noticed that like there are several bell motifs throughout, but the sound does change.
Yeah, I try to do that as well, and it depends. Like on the intro, I think I used 1 or 2 layers, and then on different sections, I try to have different textures playing the same thing to kind of evolve with. So I did it 3 years ago, so I can't remember exactly what I did. But you're right. Like sometimes, it does needed that attack from the marimba to kind of poke through, and there's more sounds around it. When it's just the chords on the intro, I think it's just like the bell and the synth, and it's interesting to use the same melody with different sounds on different sections to kind of your brain kind of recognize that melody, but it feels new because it's played by a new sound.
It's the perfect, like you said, driving at nighttime, maybe through the city, looking up at the stars, and the scenery does change throughout your drive. So it's
totally
perfect. All right, so I saved this song for last. It's going to be kind of like the grand finale of this interview because so many people are curious about Punch's birth. So I guess we'll start with the beginning of the song. The opening is probably one of the most iconic beginnings in K-pop. So I was wondering, how was that hook or bass sound born? Whose brainchild was it?
Yeah, I have to give props to Dem Jones for that. That was all his. It was done during the same camp, where we made 100. We were in 2 different rooms, and he started the demo over there. I think he had the demo of at least the skeleton of the tracks already, and they finished it over there. And he finished the track, gave it to Casey and Kenzie, who went to another room and wrote to it. And it had the main like structure, like bare bones of the track. It had that main synth bass. It had the drums, but it was just a lot. It was a lot more empty, especially on the chorus, and the bridge didn't exist. The breakdown was just the trumpet. It was that, but all the drums around it, were completely different. I came to work to that, like on that track way later, probably, a couple months later. So I was familiar with the original demo because I've heard it during the camp, but they came to me and asked to kind of, elevate the song and add a lot of layers and sounds and write the bridge that didn't exist. I think the first thing I did was to add that synth bass on the first verse, to kind of complement the that goes on top of it. I added some extra drums here and there, added like a bunch of pads, sub bass to kind of beef up the pre-chorus to make it feel very, I don't know, like those chords are kind of magical when they come in with the piano. Takes you somewhere completely different. And then the main thing that I did that kind of changed the whole vibe was adding the chords to the chorus. Because at first the chorus was just on the synth bass. It was going back to that with the drums, and it was missing that kind of chords and melodic section around it. So I came up with the chords, and that just like took it somewhere totally different and really elevated the track. And then for the bridge, I mean, they're really jazzy chords when you listen to it with, you know, the live bass coming in, and I recorded some like live electric guitar that
Okay, I was wondering, I'm about to ask.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
not a lot of people are like caught on it, but there's some live guitar. I played the live bass, and then the breakdown, I took those main horns that them joints had, that main riff, and then created the whole new drum rhythm around it. Added like a whole load of like wobble bass and FX and, you know, all that stuff to sound like super big. And yeah, it was fun to work on this song. It was a lot of work.
It sounds like it. So were you surprised when fan reactions finally started trickling in of the fact that no one could remember what the sound
I saw that.
like it sounded like?
Yeah.
What was your reaction to that?
They performed it during the V Live, I think, for the first time before it came out. And on Twitter, I got a lot of notification of people saying, how come we can't remember Punch? And I thought that was so funny. I don't know why. I think the only explanation is because it's so complex, I think.
Yeah.
You really have to listen to it a lot of times to like catch every different section and all the melodies. Like it takes you so many different places that I think it takes a couple listens to really get used to. But that was so funny. Yeah, all the fans were like, we can't remember Punch. I was like, that's funny. But I guess it's a good thing because it makes you like listen to it even more and go back and watch the video a couple more times and to really like count on it. But yeah.
Yeah, I was about to ask.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess there was some magic in it. I don't know.
Yeah, do you think it is better for a song to be catchy or to go so many different places that people have to go in and re-listen many times?
It could both be good. I always tend to go for the more like catchy thing, and sometimes the more simplistic, things are obviously the most memorable. So I try to always simplify things. But I mean, a song like Punch is so complex and so like well put together that it just works as well. It just depends,
Right.
There's really no rules.
Right. Since it is so complex, I was wondering if you could point out a few layers or moments that you'd like fans to listen for, like that are hard to pick up upon first listen.
Well, definitely that electric guitar that's on the bridge. If you listen to the breakdown, try to hear like all those layers of the wobble synth. There's like sirens and synth going up and downs and all of that. I think the track had over 250 tracks at the end in the session without the vocals, just the production. So it is so many layers. I guess on the chorus, and it's hard to hear as well because there's so many layers of vocals and harmonies and all of that it's covering up a lot of the production as well. Yeah, in the chorus it's a lot of layers of pads and synth and arpeggiatos and all of that. There's little sounds everywhere.
Do you have a favorite texture in the song or a favorite section?
I love the pre-chorus with the piano chords coming in and the bridge as well. The bridge is always my favorite sections of the song.
Ooh, right. I mean, same, because that's when you can do the most adventuring, I feel.
Yeah.
In the
bridges. You can take it somewhere totally different and then go back to. Then the hard part is once you've took it so far away from where it was, how do I bring it back to the original chorus? So it's all about finding either the right chord like transition or sound effects, or sometimes you just need a hard drop and silence to kind of reset your brain and then throw the new chorus. But yeah, it's I love working on bridges. It's fun. It's so creative.
So when you've written for both artists who've been in the industry for a very long time, as well as newer artists like Gravity, and I was wondering, is it easier to write for a group that has a sound established, or is it easier to write for a group that hasn't yet found their sound?
It's definitely easier to write for groups that are already established, especially the ones that have a very known sound, like NCT or WayV. I mean, all SM acts really, for example, have a very specific sound. So yeah, once you know what they've done in the past, you know, you kind of know what could definitely work for them. But at the same time, they always reinvent themselves. It's hard as well because it's how do you create something that's going to be new for them that they haven't done before, but that's still going to work and still going to have elements of what makes them you know? So it depends. And then for new groups, you know, a lot of times I get directions from the record label. Obviously, they have an idea of where they want to take the act and what sound they want for them, but it gives you more creative freedom because they haven't released anything yet, that everything is yet to be created and to be invented. So you kind of take the direction of where they want to take them, but as a producer you're like, okay, now how can I kind of put my imprint on their sound as well, and that's, you know, kind of how to balance it with, you know, best of both worlds of what they want and what you think could really work for them, all be good for them. It's and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but what doesn't will work for someone else. So
yeah, so I take it it's just all of it is a very fun challenge, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So to wrap up this amazing interview, I would love for you to leave a message for your fans and what they should get excited for in 2021.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely a lot of exciting projects to look forward to this year. I wish I could mention all of them. Some stuff that you haven't really heard from me before. Some really unique type of productions. A lot more songs as a top liner. A lot of acts that I haven't worked before as well, which is really exciting. And yeah, just get ready for a lot of new music.
Woo! I'm personally excited for the girl group cuts. Thank you so much for your time. I learned so much, especially
Thanks so
like
much.
you just playing the chords live. I'm sure our audience is going to absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.